You are tuning in to another episode of the Fearless Flipping podcast. And before we get into this, if you can just do me a favor, if you are listening on the podcast, make sure you are subscribed. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, don't just subscribe, go down to that subscribe button. Also press that little bell. It looks like a little bell. It's a notification that's going to allow you to get text, emails, and notifications that will show you whenever we have new content. This just really helps us with our mission to continue to inform you, and also so that if you're informed, you're gonna be passionate just like me to talk to other people about real estate investing. Now, what I really am excited about today is our guest, Ryan Carmody. Ryan is one of the main reasons that I joined with the company that I did and also got into real estate investing because of how I saw real estate investing change his life, not just from a lifestyle perspective, but as a person. Ryan is one of those guys that, man, he's just likable to be around, and it's done so much for him. And not only has it done so much for him, he's done so much in it. Recently, he just completed a flip in Ventura County that allowed him to make a net profit of $276,000. Guys, that's one project, making what most people won't even make in 5 years. That's unbelievable. So I am excited today to introduce you to Ryan Carmody. All right, Ryan Carmody. He's usually speaking on stage. I guess you can still call this a stage. It's right there in your living room on the computer, and we are ready to rock and roll here. Ryan has got an impressive resume that we're going to get into in a second here, but I really just want to start off with our Fearless Five. So that first question, probably one of my favorites because I love hearing the answers to these. What is your weirdest or best real estate investing story?
Right on. Well, thanks for having me, Kyle. Grateful to be talking with you guys and sharing some of my education with you guys. Weirdest story, a seller had called off a bandit sign that I have here where I live locally in Ventura. Ended up having a house in a place called Barstow. Guy was a rock collector, collected fossils and rocks. Just so happened my son and I collect fossils and rocks. So we had instant rapport. Guy didn't want to deal with real estate agents. Was able to make a friend with him. Was able to get him out of his situation, help him. And then we ended up turning around and selling the house for a profit. Never saw the house, never went to the house. And made a win-win situation. Helped the guy out, helped a few people in Barstow, and then helped my son and I. So.
Wow. Well, moral of the story is I need to learn how to collect rocks. All right. Second question here. What's your favorite part about real estate investing?
Favorite part is probably not having to have a boss, not having to have anybody have any control over my life. Waking up, do the business with my wife, do it with my 22-year-old son. Being able to do something that we can do as a family. We love to learn together. We like to have fun together. We've built our business so we can kind of do it from anywhere in the world. And really just having kind of control over our life, our time, and our income.
Get to go head out on the beach and do some surfing.
That's right.
Ryan's a surfer. All right. What's your favorite way to market?
Probably the best way I like to market is relationships. What I've found is building relationships and creating win-win situations. We do. We have a local real estate club, a meetup here in Ventura where I live, which I've had almost 10 years now. And I think the best place is just kind of, we like to work together. We believe in collaboration over competition. We have an abundance mindset instead of a scarcity mindset. So kind of the way that I approach the business is try to create those win-win situations. I have a philosophy of putting people first and profit second. And I think a lot of karma and just kind of doing the right thing. If you help enough people out of their situation, it's always seemed to help us to be able to continue to go forward.
I love that answer. That's awesome. So did you go to college? And if so, what did you study?
I didn't. I had a short stint in college. My father wanted me to go to engineering college in South Dakota at the School of the Mines to learn how to do CAD. And I think I went for 2 months and then ended up deciding I was going to be a pro snowboarder and moving to Breckenridge, Colorado. And yeah, I didn't go to college. I kind of always tell people that I was mentored by a company called Fortune Builders. A guy named Than Merrill. Met them in 2011, and Fortune Builders was my college. Everything I've ever learned that has anything to do with real life experience, or anything that really matters in life, at least for the way that we look at, I've learned from those guys.
Absolutely. And I have you and Corey Griffin to thank for jumping into this
Nice.
amazing journey so far, because I went to my Fortune Builders seminar for education and left there with a whole new vision for my future life. So I have a lot to thank you for that. And our listeners are just I feel like they're gonna have that same experience, not only on this episode, but the next episode too, when we talk about private money lending. You guys are not going to want to miss that. So now the fifth question, and let's lead right into your story. It's an awesome one. How did you get into real estate investing? What were you doing before this?
Right on. Yeah. So I was born and raised into a family business. My dad's a farmer from South Dakota. He's one of 14, and he ended up moving to California in the early 50s. My dad started a business on his own and has built it into a really successful business, heating and air conditioning here in our town. So I grew up in my family's business. I grew up crawling under houses, taking out ductwork, crawling in attics. My father had me go to electrician school, refrigeration school. Towards the end, I was running his service department. He has about 16 service technicians. And I have kids. I have a 22-year-old son, a 17-year-old, and a 7-year-old. And what was happening was I was making commitments to my kids, and I wasn't showing up. And it wasn't because I didn't want to. It was because of working 60, 70 hours a week. And that's one thing I'd give you guys any advice. If you ever have a kid, it's one thing you don't ever do is tell them you're going to be there and not show up. So I came to a point of decision in my life, which was either take over my family's company or get financially educated. And I chose B. I was introduced to real estate in 2010 by a best friend of mine who's another real estate investor. And I invested into my education. I got mentored by Fortune Builders, and basically just got laser focused. What was important to me was learning how to build a passive income stream that came in that would cover our expenses, whether we decided to work that day or not. So yeah, 2010, 2011, I got introduced to the business, took it really serious, learned as much as I could, met as many of the key players that I needed to meet. And then from that day till today, really just I've never stopped. I haven't really ever looked back. Every year we've kind of taken our business and our education to the next level. Last few years, we've decided to focus on commercial real estate. That's kind of our focus today. We ended up buying a hotel a few years ago. I used my education and then the systems that I've learned from my mentors to build a business around my passion, which is surfing. So yeah, that's kind of my story.
Talk about that hotel a little bit. I want to hear how you came across that and where that desire came from to want to buy something like that.
Yeah, so obviously I'm a surfer. I love to travel around the world and surf. We set a goal. We set a goal about 8 years ago that we were going to buy a surf camp. And my son and I, we traveled the world. We went to Bali. We went to Costa Rica. We went to Australia, kind of looking for the perfect zone. And random story, we had a fire sale. An ad came up on Facebook, book a trip in Nicaragua within the next 24 hours. We'd never been to Nicaragua, knew nothing about it. Called my son, asked him if he wanted to go on a surf trip. We ended up jumping on the plane the next day. Ended up heading down to a fishing village in Nicaragua called Puerto Sandino. And while we were there, the owner of the hotel was there, who was kind of on the outs, wanted to sell the hotel, planted the seed to us that he would possibly be selling it. Long story short, the owner of the hotel ended up doing an owner-seller finance. I used a real estate strategy on the business. We ended up buying the business. He carried the note. We bought a full-blown boutique hotel, which caters to surfing, yoga, meditation. It's called Surf Tours Nicaragua. You guys ever want to come surf in Nicaragua? But basically, it was a space that I wanted to have for my best friends. My son's a big surfer, a lifeguard. We wanted to have a space where we could go, where we could surf some really good waves, kind of tap out from the busyness of the States. And it ended up being a really, really fun business that we have today.
That's awesome. So you pretty much get free stay in Nicaragua whenever you want, huh?
Free stay, yep. And it's turned into a pretty good passive income stream for us.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, man.
So you sound like you attribute a lot of your success to education. So I would like to stick on that topic for a second.
For sure. Yeah. I've had multiple businesses over the years, and some businesses have done well and others haven't. Every time I've failed, I've kind of taken that as a mistake and tried to learn. I believe heavily in education, in anything that you do. I think one way to lower risk in anything is to have the education go up. What I've found is when education goes up, risk goes down. And on the flip, when education goes down, risk goes up. So, when I got older and really took to look at my life, my kids were getting older, I kind of took a look and researched, what industry has created more wealth than any other industry in the world. And it was real estate. It was something I didn't know anything about. I'd read some of the books that everybody reads, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich. But I really wanted to find somebody that was doing it, that had results, that was cool enough that could break it down to me and simplify it for me. Not so much of a book smart type of person. Kind of need someone more to show me the step by step. So yeah, I believe heavily in education. To this day, I invest in my education. I probably spend 2 to 3 hours a day educating myself on different aspects of the business. Anytime I'm learning something new, audiobooks, podcasts, reading, journaling, meeting other investors, doing it. And yeah, for sure. I love education.
Awesome. So you went through an education system that I'm also currently going through. We've had a couple other interviewees on here that have gone through Fortune Builders and
Nice.
some that have, done other things. What would you say, with there being also a lot of free resources out there, what's the benefit of paying for education versus maybe just jumping on something like this, that's a podcast or a YouTube channel or anything out there that is a free resource? What do you think the difference is there?
Yeah, for sure. I'll never bash anything. I in my opinion, any education is better than none. I'll just tell you how it is for me, and whatever you guys think, that's your deal. For me, when I feel when I invest into something financially, I have a lot more skin in the game. I seem to take it a little bit more serious, and kind of have the attitude of burning the boats. If I'm going to invest money and time at my age now, I'm going to take it into something really serious. It's a lot different than when you're in high school, in my opinion, of trying to just learn something to pass the test. I feel as you get older and you take a look at life and you look at what other people are doing, I think it's good to invest into education. I think it drives you. I think it gives you skin in the game, like I said. And, I believe in any education, really. Any education that, as long as you get it, it just depends on how you take education and how it relates to you, whether that's a podcast, a YouTube video like this, sitting in a class for 3 days, or, immersing yourself in a topic and really diving in. I'm a big believer in education. It's definitely changed my life. And, that's just what it's done for me.
Awesome. So
For sure.
after education, you've got to have the right activities, the right mindset. You keep talking about mindset, and this was
For
something
sure.
that really stood out to me. And, and just to, kind of equate it to one of your passions of surfing, I can study surfing all day long, but until I get on the board and actually practice it and then get in the right mindset while I'm out there in the water, that's really what can make the difference. So how do you, you put a lot of weight in your mindset, but how do you end up working on your mindset?
So for sure. So exactly like you said, I think if you had like a stool and there was 3 legs to a stool, and if one of those legs weren't there, I think the stool would crumble. So what I've found when it gets into like, building a business, I think there's 3 legs to the stool. It would be education, it would be your experience, and then it would be implementation. And I think without one of those stools one of those legs, that stool wouldn't stand up. It's funny, you meet people and they've read 1,000 books and they've watched 1,000 YouTube videos and they have the education, but a lot of people, they just never do anything with it. They never implement. It's funny because they say knowledge is power. I don't believe that, because if knowledge was power, librarians would be billionaires.
I like it.
I think knowledge plus action is power, right? Plus implementation. Smart people, they have education, but what I've found is really smart people, they implement. So it's just a matter of actually doing, and I always am under the belief that if you're actually doing, and it's okay to fail, it's okay when you're learning to make mistakes, because those are also some of the biggest learning lessons, right? Yeah. So as far as mindset, some stuff that I do, I have these journals that I use, and I burn through one of these about every 3 months. I do a gratitude list. So right when I wake up, when my feet hit the ground, I write 10 things I'm grateful for. I write the word thank you, thank you, thank you. I verbalize it out to the universe. And then I every night, right before I go to sleep, I go back to my journal and I write 10 things I'm grateful for. Right? Thank you, thank you, thank you. And what that does just for me is you always wake up in gratitude, and you always go to sleep in gratitude. I've done a goal setting exercise that's worked really well. I do what's called your big 3 and then your daily 5. And what that means is, what are the 3 big goals you're working towards in your life right now? Not 500, not 20. What are the big 3 goals you're working towards? And then your daily 5 is every day you write down 5 small things that will get you closer to those big 3 things. And, one thing I've learned about goals is you want to set realistic goals. There's a book called The Compound Effect. It's written by an author named Darren Hardy. And he talks about doing small rituals every single day that will lead to massive results. That's a mindset. I think finding your why. There's a book called Start With Why, a guy named Simon Sinek. Save you from reading the book. Watch his TED Talk, TED.com. And he talks about, people like Martin Luther King. Why did all those people show up to listen to that dude talk, right? He wasn't the only African-American guy. Apple. Why did people sleep at Best Buy for 3 days for an iPhone to come out, right? And I think when you find your why, the real why, which in my opinion, it's not money. I've learned that money will only drive you so far. But when you find your real why inside, the driving force, you can achieve a lot of stuff.
That is amazing nuggets right there. And I love that video from Simon Sinek. I just want to recap that really quick for our listeners. So number 1, it's those 3 legs of the stool. You got to have the education, you got to have the implementation, and then that leads to the experience, tying in with mindset as well. Number 2, you have a gratitude journal every day. I love that. Writing down 10 things, verbalizing it, making sure the word thank you is in there. That's awesome. And then 3rd, goal setting, the big 3, I think that was really good. I think even better, I like the daily 5, because we can have this huge to-do list, but is that to-do list really getting us towards the 5 goals that will get us towards the big 3? And then of course, make sure you define your why. If you haven't seen that video from Simon Sinek,
You got to go see it. It is awesome.
It is.
And tying in with mindset, you also mentioned to me before we got on this call that you've always been in some sort of sales position. That is a mindset game, no doubt about it. So tell me about your experience in sales and how you've tied it in with real estate.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I was like I was telling you earlier, I think life is sales, and people do it differently. I've been in sales positions pretty much my whole life, and you can have a cliche of what a surfer's like. Sometimes they seem to be a little bit more mellow, but in my opinion, it's just the way that my life has been lived. I've always taken the approach. I've always been called in my sales positions what they call the velvet hammer. uh, I'm never going to attack somebody in sales. I don't come out firing. I've always gone into the approach of sales as just really truly figuring out what the person I'm dealing with wants, and then taking a real educated look in my brain of the best solution to help them. And, you know, I've always just done sales where, you know, literally just try to help people get what they want, really find out what their why is, which, you know, that there's a layer to it. If someone's going to express their why, they have to trust you. How do you build trust? You build rapport. What is rapport? Rapport is commonality. People like them. So, you know, a good skill in life is to be able to have rapport and to listen to people really well. It's what I've always found. And then, you know, like the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, that's written by Dale Carnegie, which was Warren Buffett's mentor. He taught us in that book to be genuinely interested in other people. You know, people never care how much you know until they know how much you care, is what I've always found. In the sales approach, you know, I've been in positions in sale, and typically I usually rise to the top. I've just always taken an approach of being normal, not being a pushy salesperson. Like I said, trying to help the person get what they want, whether they want to buy or do or close a sale or sell the house. That's their decision. But I think if you can help someone see the reality of what's really happening in the situation, as opposed to trying to sell someone and trying to get someone to take an honest look of where they're at and what their situation's going to be, and then laying out options for them, and being very detached. You know, detachment is key. Is, you know, it's not going to change my life whether someone does this or does that, but it could possibly change their life. So I think it's being smart. Sometimes in real estate they call us a transactional engineer. So being able to put a transaction together, and then what I've always found is just showing someone the reality of, you can do this and this will be the outcome. You can do this or you can do this, and it's your choice. If you want to, whatever you want to do, it's all good. I can just lay it out there for them.
You know, we haven't done a whole lot of talking, even real estate on this call right now, but I will tell you, I love these conversations even more than the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s of the strategy of real estate investing. So thank you so much for this conversation, Ryan. Before we kind of wrap things up here, you've talked about, you know, you've got to have that strong why. So I need to know, what is your why?
My why is my family and my kids. 100%. Yeah. My
Nice.
daughter's graduating high school tomorrow. The high school that I graduated from, which is about 100 yards away from me. My son is 22, lifeguard here in town. And my why is just to be 100% present with my kids, show them the beautiful, beautiful things in life, the beautiful experiences, the beautiful people, and really setting my kids up to not have to come up through the ranks struggling about money, tripping out about money, worrying about money. This was taught to me about 10 years ago, and I instantly taught it to my kids. You know, I think not a lot of education for our youth, and I think the more we can set them up with the real deal of what's really happening in the world, because they're going to be taking care of us someday. Yeah, that's my why, is my family, 100%.
There's
a wife. Yeah.
And nothing more important than family, man.
Yeah, man.
I love it. I love that answer. So what is next in your business?
Just to continue, we've really changed our focus on our business to more lending money, different investment opportunities. And then obviously the last few years, we've changed our focus more into bigger apartment deals. So, our business is pretty good. We have a lot of referrals here in our hometowns where we're born and raised. So, we always have one or two projects going on here, but we've really changed our focus more into bigger commercial deals. We have a goal. We want to have a couple thousand apartment units in the next 5 years. So really just surrounding myself with other investors that are on those deals that I can be a partner of. And yeah, lending money and collecting passive income.
I like it. That's
Yeah,
what
man.
the magic of this business is all about.
Yeah.
Passive income. All right. So how can people connect with you, Ryan?
I can give you guys my phone number if you want. My phone number is a cell phone number you can call. You can connect me on social media. I have a Facebook page. I have an Instagram page. My company is Authentic Investment Group. And then our company number is 805-585-8888. If you guys want to reach out to us directly. If anybody's in Southern California, we have a meetup mastermind group where we meet once a month here in Ventura. It's in Ventura proper, right here in the town of Ventura. So it's a group of high-level investors, contractors, realtors, title companies, attorneys, where we meet once a month and we all help each other.
Perfect. One more time on that phone number.
Yeah, man. 805-585-8888.
8888. That is easy. And then on Facebook, you can search him at Ryan Carmody, Carmody. Much easier if you just go to his fan page because this guy's popular. He is maxed out at that 5,000 friends level. I can't even get to be his friend.
Oh, buddy.
I'm going to really drive that one home. And then one more time on the meetup group, it is called the mastermind group is called Next Level Real Estate Investors Club. That's correct, right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Well, if you guys like this episode, you are going to love the next one with Ryan because not only does he have a awesome teaching moment for us with private money lending, but he's also got an amazing offer to go along with it that will help you have a tool in your tool belt that will literally make raising money so much easier. Ryan, any last remarks there before we sign off here?
No, man. Proud of you. I'm stoked to see you doing this. Proud to be a part of it. I remember meeting you up in Fresno and was telling you, bro, real estate's your deal. Pull the trigger.
I think the words were, you could totally crush this business, bro.
That's what you can do. And you have been.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. And anyone else can totally crush this business. In fact, they all know it is time for them to go out and conquer real estate investing. We will see you next time.
I hope you were taking notes, and good news, if you weren't, you can just go to the show notes on fearlessflipping.com/Ryan Carmody. That's Carmody. And that right there, you're just getting to know Ryan right now. Wait till the next episode where he actually gives you step-by-step, make it 11 steps of a script that is going to help you to dominate raising private money. I've never seen it put out the way that he has, and it is just so good. It is so simple. Anyone can follow it. That's what we're going to talk about in the next episode. One more time, www.fearlessflipping.com/Ryan Carmody. Make sure, again, subscribe. And if you are on YouTube, not just subscribe, but hit that little notification bell so that you can get updated when we are producing content. Check out the show notes and make sure you also follow us on Instagram, fearlessflipping316. It is your time to go out and conquer real estate investing. We will see you next time.